let's continue the petrol and power conversation with Dolapo Oni, the head of energy research at Ecobank, Nigeria. Dolapo, let's continue this from where we stopped about how NNPC becomes the sole importer and you trying to break down the costs here for us to arrive at where we are. Then you're going to add to the Vice President's statement. Professor Yemi Oshibajo says the federal government is not paying subsidy. That is NNPC. So you're trying to separate the NNPC from the federal government of Nigeria.
Okay, good. So, I mean, thinking about it, so when NNPC became the full importer essentially by October, and most countries, most of the other importers had decided, look, I can't get FX, and NNPC is going to bring it in and take the implicit loss, no problem. I'll just wait and buy from NNPC, which is what everybody started doing. Essentially, NNPC brings in the product using their DSDP program, the direct supply, direct purchase program, which is really a reverse swap. Really, what it does, you bring in the products and then we pay you with crude. So, which is why NNPC records that implicit loss that they are taking on the crude oil essentially as under recovery, because if they had sold it at the regular price, they would have gotten a full price. But now they're selling it below cost because the product they're getting back, they're having to sell the product at a price lower than the landing cost for the product if they put all their costs in. So it's really an under recovery. So that under recovery has been growing significantly throughout this year. If you check the figure, we're currently in the hundreds of billions in terms of how much we have taken as an implicit subsidy. And again, if you want to be very thorough about this, think about it. NNPC is discounting that at the official exchange rate of about 305. If you are using the market rate, which the typical marketer will get to, you're talking about an implicit FX subsidy as well too, which again is roughly another 50 naira per dollar again on the price that they are taking. So the real subsidy here is quite significant in terms of the real economic subsidy here, but it's not a
it's close to about 100 naira.
Possibly, yeah, probably about 100
naira. 100 naira from the landing cost to getting to the marketers. It's about 100 naira.
Exactly.
Subsidy that the NNPC is carrying.
Yeah, and they are carrying it as an implicit loss, not as a payment now. But that also rubs back on the government because, again, NNPC pays for whatever it makes back to the federal government account, right?
Yes.
So, again, federal government is not directly paying the subsidy. Let's put it that way. They're not directly paying the subsidy, but
someone is playing a fast game here.
But
someone has been smart.
Exactly, because
the Buhari's administration has been smart here. They're not telling everyone the whole truth. So the next question is this: How does the NNPC cover that margin, what you call implicit loss?
Again, because it's coming from our crude barrels, which we get from the JV. It's our crude barrels which were meant to be refined locally, which we're swapping for products. So again, we're essentially just the crude oil which is being used which is meant for the domestic market refineries really is what is being swapped out for products, and we're not getting the full value back. Essentially, that's what it means. Now, the other part to that, which
the flip side,
which we also need to recognize, is the fact that around December, around this winter period, the demand generally for energy around the world tends to increase because in the countries where you have a lot of cold weather, they tend to burn more. So generally around the world, everybody tends to increase their fuel prices around December. Late
in Gombe or Zamfara.
Good. Now, this is the thing, and I think people need to understand this. Aliko is not going to sell fuel to you, first of all, in Naira. Because if you think about it, Aliko did not raise Naira for his refinery. He raised his refinery and he raised all his money in dollars. So he has to earn dollars to pay back his financiers. So that's one. He's not going to sell in Naira. That's number one. And then number two is the fact that also he doesn't have anything to do with the market, with the distribution end of the downstream. All he has is he produces his product and then he sells to the marketers. He sells to NNPC.
The big boys.
He sells to the big boys, exactly. The main dealers who are going to buy in bulk and then distribute
and they're going to pay Aliko.
And they're going to pay him in dollars.
Yes. So every other refineries that we're building in Lagos and we'll go backwaters will be selling the end product
in dollars.
Because Dangote does not have petrol stations unless he's thinking about starting building one.
Unless he's going to start his own distribution chain, he's still going to have to cover that dollar cost somewhere.
Okay, so he says to 40 oil, whatever, in dollars.
Yes.
And 40 oil will have to sell to me
in Naira.
And you in Naira. So go back to the exchange rate.
Yes, so somebody's going to have to take the exchange difference. Again, someone's going to have to take the exchange rate risk. It's not going to be the refinery because he will buy his crude oil in dollars, he's going to sell his product to you in dollars.
Makes sense.
And then, I mean, the advantage for us locally of having a Dangote refinery here is the fact that we don't have transportation costs. We don't have to go through the various, to the ports. So we don't have to also litter. We don't have to bring in a mother vessel and then smaller vessels go and offload the big vessels. So all that cost is going to be shaved off.
But the haulage folks will still have to transport petrol in those trucks all the way from Dangote refinery in Lagos or the Eco Petrochem all the way to Gombe, Zamfara, Zaria, wherever. So there's still some costs.
Exactly. So that distribution cost is why there's going to be a disparity between the Lagos price and various other parts of the country. But that's only normal. That's only expected. Over time, as we start to see development of pipeline networks, as we see development of other options to distribute the fuel, the price will generally come cheap.
Is it an option, so we should be investing in it right like from yesterday?
No, it seems even that we already have a lot of pipeline networks. It's just that we've not managed them well. So it's either we're going to privatize them and find a way to ensure that that pipeline network is well managed, well protected. But again, we have 4 systems for distributing petroleum products around the country. It's just that I think it's only 2C or 2A that's currently working. So we can fix that.
And that's with the NNPC.
That can be used.
So with the NNPC, we'll be lending, we're selling or leasing that to Aliko, whoever the major marketers are, when these private refineries get on stream.
So that's what I see as an opportunity in terms for PPMC and for NNPC in the future. Because again, that becomes an opportunity for them. Because for a Dangote, I don't know how much he can store in terms of at his refinery there. If you're going to produce 650,000 barrels per day, you probably can only store maybe 2 days supply or 3 days supply. You've got to offload as frequently as possible. Now, the best way to do that